the Clippers didn't have anybody that could make a pass. They're
Right.
already an ISO team. And the biggest thing with Harden, when you watch, is he's setting those two guys up. But more importantly, they have a pick and roll game again because Zoop now has become
Oh my God.
unbelievable. And that's due to James Harden.
Well, so
That's what
am I going to have to admit defeat on this Clippers? I thought the Harden trade was just a horrendous idea by them, and I didn't understand why they gave so much. I thought it was one of the dumbest things they've ever done in the franchise. And yet, they're 20-6 in their last 26. The numbers, Kawhi's last 15 games for last night, he was shooting 60%, 53% from three. Harden's last 20, he's shooting 46% from three. Paul George's last 16, 45% from three. Zubats 14 and 11, shooting almost 70%. Like, this is a long, sustained offensive excellence that when you watch it feels legitimate.
Bill, who is deeper? Who has more talent? Just forget the fit. Who has more talent than the Clippers?
Right. If you're just saying, don't think about durability, don't think about chemistry, maybe just the Celtics, and that's it.
I don't think the Celtics. I don't think anyone has more talent.
Yeah, if you're adding like Norm Powell and people like that. Yeah.
If you go 8 to 9 deep, there is not a team more talented in the NBA. I don't even think it's close than the Clippers. All right? They kind of fit now better, too.
Yeah.
Russ coming off the bench, Norman Powell, Russ brings them energy. Zub and James together. James is playing terrific basketball, but he fits them more. He gets to have the ball in his hands, and that's what he wants. He has a big that rolls. His biggest complaint in Philly is Joe didn't roll, but we wanted to give Joe the ball.
Right.
We didn't need him to roll, and Joe is proving that was right too. So this is a fit for him and for the team. The biggest question is defensively, could he hold out? And the second question, and the biggest thing is, Ty would tell you this, they're healthy. They're all playing,
What's that? What are the odds of that? Like, I'm going to say 5-1.
Yeah, Kawhi's missed a few of late, but he plays every night. Paul George hasn't missed. James never misses. That's the one thing, and I've always been consistent with that with James. He's a baller. He's not going to miss a lot of games. He wants to play every night.
He is like basically Karl Malone in more ways than one. Like one of the most durable players of all time, and probably similar playoff success. But you're right. But there's the two versions of James. Right now, we're getting the happy facilitator James, which is your favorite version of James. We haven't seen the I didn't make the All-Star game, even though I'm facilitating all of this.
Yeah, and he should have. Clearly.
But, no, I'm saying even this year. What if he doesn't make it this year? What happens?
I think this year at least he has the ball in his hands. Where with us, he didn't have the ball. He had the ball a lot, but he had to give it to Joe. He still had the ball a ton. But a lot of times, giving to Joe the ball on the elbow and being a cutter and mover, that's not how he wanted to play. Now, I always say, everyone says they want to win until you tell them they have to do something different, right? But this role for him, whether he makes it or not, he still is the facilitator, and he has the ball. He gets to make the plays. And that's what he is, and that's what he wants to do. So I don't see an unhappy James coming. That doesn't mean he'll be, efficient in the playoffs. That's where he has to improve. The one thing I will say that will help him, and my biggest knock against James, it's hard to win when you have one player that just dominates the ball, right?
Yeah.
Well, on the Clippers, they don't have that. They have three
it's
guys.
Moving. Yeah.
Right. And so that kind of protects that narrative where if you take James out, he still can be effective on the Clippers, And so I think, listen, my four teams, if you got to go two in the West and two in the East.
They moved into your top two?
Them and Denver in the West for me. I know we love Minnesota, and
Minnesota's some signs lately.
Listen, they had a fight in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
and the fight was not against the opposing team,
right?
So until they can show that they can perform under the pressure of the playoffs, I love them, but I'm just not buying them yet.
A little bit
That's what
different
I
of a
would say about it.
bullseye with them too, where now people
Yeah,
know they're good. So night after night, you got to bring it. But I watch them a lot because I like watching them. They're asking a lot from Connolly at this point in his career.
yeah,
And there's just nights when he doesn't have it. Edwards is still trying to figure out what he is as a top 20 guy. And there's some
yeah,
nights when sometimes he seems to want certain things from the game that maybe the game doesn't need. So they're a work
yeah.
in progress. I'm not counting him out. I would go Denver, OKC, and I'd probably have the Clippers third, but under the caveat of all those guys have to stay healthy.
Yeah, I just think in the playoffs, the Clippers are deeper than everybody, and
Great coach.
they're great coach, and they're deep with veterans. Then, like they don't have everyone on their team is a vet, and man, that's going to be a tough out for someone. I look at them; they're so deep. I don't know how everyone's not going to play back.
Yeah.
If and that's where James helps too. On the night that Paul George goes AWOL,
Yeah, you're
or
right. You just got to go 2 for 3.
that's exactly right. And that's one of the reasons they did the trade is because on the nights of regular season games when Kawhi doesn't play, you still have Paul and James. You bring in Norman Powell.
Yeah.
And they're just, you bring in Russ. They are deep and they're going to be a handful in the playoffs.
Well, they're pot committed to this season. They're spending an incredible amount of money and they've spent all their picks for the chance they have this year. And
the money they don't care about.
Well, I know they don't care about that. Yeah, but
the picks and the future.
They have no future.
They have no future. They have to win. They have to win in this year and next year. Other than that, they're in trouble.
Well, there's one other piece that's a little scary. It's the Harden extension, because now it's going great. It's going awesome. But now you're buying in for 3 more years, and where am I a year from now?
Well, here's a good thing with that. The answer, he will give you the answer. So to me, that's an easy one. Because when the playoffs start, and if he plays great and they go deep, then there's your answer. If he doesn't, then there's your answer. So that's an easy one.
But if I told you Kawhi was going to be awesome and look like 2019 Kawhi again, if that Harden trade happened, I don't know if the Harden trade was the catalyst to it or whether Kawhi is just finally healthy again. I still think they might have been really good even if they didn't make the trade, just because of how good Kawhi is. He is one of there's 7 top guys in the league, and then Kawhi's the 8th, depending on how healthy he is. Like, if you're just going to rank the players right now, the way he's playing right now is like he's on the level of all the other best guys.
Kawhi is as good as anybody in the league right now.
Yeah. But we wouldn't have said that a year ago, or we wouldn't have said that 2 months ago.
He wasn't healthy, and he's healthy now, so he's back to what he was basically. But I disagree in the fact they wouldn't be this good without James, because
I agree with that.
They needed a point guard in a desperate way, and that's when I was talking to them, meaning the Clippers, about the trade, that's all they kept talking about. Man, we need a facilitator. We need someone that can pass, and
he's done it.
I said, well, the one thing the guy has, his vision and his ability to set you up is as good as anybody in the league. And I said, if he stays with that, you guys are going to be hard to beat. If he doesn't, you guys aren't going to be hard to beat. That's the bottom line. So, I think he does help both guys.
This has shaken my prognosticating confidence, because I was just like, this is a disaster. And I don't know what version they're getting of James. And you watch them, and I went to a couple games. I'm like, man, that looked pretty good. Like,
what else
those 3 guys, like they share the ball really nicely, and you're watching their offense, and sometimes James will get rid of it and he'll circle around and go in the right corner, and then all of a sudden he's getting a wide open 3. And I'm like, man, that looked good. And then Zoo has like the little alley oop from somebody cuts in. All of a sudden he's at the rim with his arms up, which he's really good at. I'm like, that looked good too. And you just see it enough, and it's like, hey, this team's good.
Give Ty some credit too, because I thought it was going to work early, and I was on record of saying that. I just like the fact that James is a point guard, but Ty had to make some tough decisions and some right ones. Putting Russ on the bench, not playing Tucker. I think those are all the right decisions. And that's one of the things I've always liked about Ty. Like he will make it, and he will just take the heat. there's been grumblings that like PJ Tucker's not happy. Okay, well that's
Right.
fine, but you're still not going to play.
Right. And the
because
check's coming every 2 weeks.
yeah, and he doesn't fit the team and the way they need to play, and so I think those decisions are so hard to make, and Ty's done that.